Where do you want me to start? It started in the middle of the night. I get a Fox News alert that Edward Snowden is on the move. He has left Hong Kong and on his way to Moscow. And all I can think about is this the flexibility that Obama was thinking when he was promising this to Putin? But anyway, so it turns out he is transferred from Moscow to Ecuador. And Ecuador has given him political asylum arranged for him by WikiLeaks. And so WikiLeaks has taken control and given him asylum. And so, as it turns out, the U.S. is pretty pissed that Hong Kong did not grant them the extradition request that they filed. So I got that for you. They responded to that in a statement that says this. And the NSA, the statement released by Fox says this. It is acknowledged that the U.S. extradition request, but said that the documentation did not fully comply with all the legal requirements under Hong Kong law. It said additional information was requested from Washington, but since the Hong Kong government has yet to have sufficient information to process the request for provisional warrant of arrest, there is no legal basis to restrict Mr. Snowden from leaving Hong Kong. But what was left out from this was the entire statement, but I got that for you too. And in the most epic use of the word meanwhile, Hong Kong SAR had this to say. Meanwhile, the HKSAR government has formally written to the U.S. government requesting clarification on earlier reports about the hacking of computer systems in Hong Kong by the U.S. government agencies. The HKSR government will continue to follow up on the matter so as to protect the legal rights of the people of Hong Kong. And for the hearing impaired watching this video right now, I'm going to translate that. That says this. They had this to say. So Hong Kong is pretty pissed that while the U.S. government is wanting to round up the guy who busted them for listening to U.S. citizens, they are, with the other hand, listening to Hong Kong citizens. So getting out these fingers again, U.S. government is listening to U.S. citizens, and they want to capture the guy who told everyone this, and then they're listening to the Hong Kong citizens at the same time, and the Hong Kong says, you know what, go ahead, get on a plane, do whatever you want. They're not having any part of this. So the Obama administration has completely diminished the U.S. standing in the world because nobody cares. You know, nobody's afraid of them anymore. And why were they listening to our conversations anyway? We've been telling them on Twitter for 4 years what we think of them. And I'm doing that right now anyway. So, and as an aside here, by wasting time listening to 1.2 million conversations listening to the conversations of 1.2 customers or however many, they were completely missing credible threats from the Saranov brothers in Boston. So instead of listening to me complaining about my bowel habits and pitching woo to the Rolling Stones, you could have, maybe stopped a real terrorist attack. So just saying. And another thing is, back in 2001, when people like me were complaining like crazy about the Patriot Act, this is exactly what we were talking about. So, yeah, so blame Bush. Yeah, this is the one time I'm going to say, yeah, always blame Bush. But Barack Obama seems to think he was the greatest U.S. president ever because he's copying and bastardizing every single thing that he did. 2 crimes were committed here. Edward Snowden freely admits he committed a crime. He chose to do that to expose a greater crime. And don't forget that. Do not forget that. The White House wants you to forget that. They want to prosecute him and sweep theirs under the rug. And the little Sunday morning lapdoggies were running the derpy today and getting all stompy-footed around about this here is 2 crimes were committed here. And they want you to forget that and don't. And that's what's pissing me off this week. Have a great day.